So what we're going to do today is dividing fractions by whole numbers, which I honestly think is a lot easier than what you've already done. So we're going to write the steps. We're on page 218. So the first thing is, and they're on page 218 if you need it. I was on the wrong page. I was about to give you the wrong stuff. So the first thing is multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So I'm just going to put multiply by reciprocal. So there's nothing to do with the first number on this one. You don't have to put it over 1, you just leave it. So then you multiply by the second number that you flip. So you flip the second number and multiply. And then you simplify. Remember, simplify and reduce are the same word. I think some of you are getting confused the other day when I was saying simplify and then reduce. It's the same thing. So if you can simplify by going across, you do that. Then you multiply. That's the easy part. And then you rename if necessary. So rename when needed. So these are the same steps pretty much as we did the other day, except this time you don't have to do anything to the first number. So all you do is flip the second number, simplify, multiply, rename. Okay? That's it. So we're going to do some practice ones, do some ones in the book, and then I want to go over some science with you today, with the rocks and stuff, and then we'll be done. So get this down, then we're going to do some practice ones, and we'll move on from there. While you're writing, I'm going to read you the word problem at the top of the page. Rosa spent 5/6 of an hour solving word problems in math. If she averaged 1/12 of an hour on each problem, how many word problems did she solve? So we need to take how long she spent doing them and dividing it by how long she spent on each problem. Then we can see how many word problems she solved during her time. So she spent almost a whole hour, 5/6 of an hour, doing all of the word problems. We already know that she spent 1/12 of an hour on each problem, so she timed it and she spent 1/12. If we divide those two, we can see how many word problems she actually did, okay? So we'll practice some more with word problems too so that you can know how to divide them, because remember, with division, you can only divide the bigger number by the smaller number. So that's where, when we did at school, we did which number is closest to 0, half, or 1. That's where this comes in, because you need to know which number is bigger. So we'll work on some word problems with that this week, maybe Friday. So if I'm going to clear this real quick, and then let's look at the problem. So we have 5/6 divided by 1/12. That's the problem they would give you. You don't do anything to 5/6, you leave it. Then underneath it, we're going to rewrite 5/6, but we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 12/1. So all we did was we're multiplying by the second number that we flipped, second fraction. Okay, then step 2, is to simplify where we can. We can't simplify 5 and 1. That's already as simple as it can be. So if we look at 6 and 12, we can reduce that. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, then all we have to do is multiply. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1. And then remember, if it's a number over 1, we leave it as the whole number. So she did 10 word problems. Okay, so these are really not hard at all. If you could do what we did the other day, I think this is easier. So all we do is multiply by the reciprocal, reduce, multiply, rename. And that's it. So we're going to do some of these examples. The examples they give you, remember, are ones that show you different outcomes. So we're going to do those, and then I'm going to practice them with you and let you guys work on your classwork in a little bit. So I'm going to clear, write down 9/10 divided by 3/5. 9/10 divided by 3/5. Okay, so first step is I'm going to rewrite 9/10 times 5/3. And if you want to go ahead and write it like that on your paper every time when you solve it, you can. It'll save you a step. Okay, we can reduce on this one both ways. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, so all we did was a cross reduce there. If you're not cross reducing yet, I want you to try to get to where you're comfortable doing it, because it saves you so many errors at the end, because you're reducing smaller numbers here versus bigger numbers at the end, so it makes it easier. Okay, then we multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. Now we can't leave it like that because 3 is too big. You can't have a bigger number over a smaller number. So that's when we do our division. 2 goes into 3 one time. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract it, we get 1. Then if you don't remember, this is our whole number. And remember, we kind of said it's like a circle. 1 is our whole number. This one is our numerator. 2 is our denominator. So you get 1.5. Most of you guys are good with that now. I think everybody knows how to turn it into a mixed number. Just make sure you're not leaving it like that. The only time we left it like that was the work we did on the other test where you had to change it and leave it. We're not doing that right now. Okay, so you get 1.5. And we'll get it ready a little bit longer to copy it. So pretty much with these, you're gonna get, looks like fraction answers, some whole number answers today, but mostly mixed numbers and fractions. I know the work we did the other day, the first set was all whole numbers. Okay, so next one we're gonna do together is 4/25 divided by 3/7. Okay, so first things, let's go ahead and flip it. 4/25 times 7/3. Now for this one, there's no way to simplify it, because when we cross simplify, we have a 4 here and a 3 here. Can't divide that by any numbers that are the same. And same thing with 7 and 25. Won't go together and won't work. So all we have to do is multiply. 4 times 7 is 28. 25 times 3 is 75, and that's your answer. So if you can't reduce going across like this, you can't reduce at the end either. So when you can't reduce, all you do is multiply and see if it needs to be changed over. And if it doesn't need to be changed into a mixed number, just leave it. So those are the easier ones because all you have to do is leave them. But always make sure if you can simplify first, because if you can simplify, you need to. All right, I'm going to give you one to try on your own. I'm going to give you a minute or two to do it, and then we're going to go through and I'll get your answers. Hold on, Addie, I'm coming to you in just a second to unmute you. I have to scroll through. Right, Addie, question?
So when we get ones like this, you don't want us to like go lower, or do you just want us to keep it the way it is?
Yeah, because you can't reduce this one. It's already the smallest we can be. If you can't reduce it going across, like you see how 4 and 3 don't go together, and then
I mean like the part where we got this 28 over 75. If
right.
we have more of those like that, do you want us to keep going low and keep going down until we can't anymore, or do you want us to just keep it?
You need to reduce if you can, but you can't reduce 28/75.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's already as small as it can go. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna let you guys work on this one. I want you to do 2/3 divided by 5/6. 2/3 divided by 5/6. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and rewrite it out this way. Kind of give you a head start. So you guys work on that one. You can cross reduce one way, okay? So I see one way that you can reduce, one way you can't reduce. So solve that one, and then in just a second, I'm gonna show you how to do it and see if you got the right answer or not. Tasia, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. So for when you said from the last one, so if you can't cross reduce, then you don't reduce at the end at all?
Right, so if there's no way to cross reduce, then there's no way to reduce at all.
Okay.
Christian, you have a question?
This isn't this technically is what we did yesterday. It's
It
just
is,
with
it's
a
just not
fraction
changing a whole number over one.
because we turned it into a fraction.
Right, so it's basically skipping the first step of what you did yesterday. Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you maybe 30-ish more seconds. You should have it pretty much done. Okay, so let's do this one together. So I've already done the first step. I flipped the second number. Then I can reduce here with 3 and 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, then I can multiply and get, hold on. I don't know why your book is showing something different. Hold on. Okay, the one in your book, it looks like it's not cross-reducing, so I don't know why they're not doing that. But 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. So you should have gotten 4/5. If you look in your book for number 1, I know it doesn't show you the answers, but in my teacher edition, it tells me the answer is 12/15. And they didn't reduce at all, so the teacher edition has a typo in it. So 4/5. Okay, I'm gonna give you another one to try. This one's a little bit of a bigger number. 3/8 divided by 5/16. Okay, 3/8 divided by 5/16. Tristan, you have a question?
So it's pretty much if you can't cross reduce, then you just leave it how it is at the end.
Yeah, if you can't cross reduce anymore, then at the end, that's as much as you can do.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's go over this one. 3/8 times 16 over 5. You should see automatically that 8 and 16 can be reduced. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Okay, so then we cannot do anything with 3 and 5 because 3 and 5 are not going to be factors. That's not going to be things that share a factor. So we multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. Now you can't leave it like that because that's where you get numbers that are bigger on top than in the bottom. So then we say 5 goes into 6 one time, subtract it. So you should get a 1 and 1/5. Okay? 1 and 1/5. Okay? All right, I'm gonna give you one more to try and then we're gonna move on to science. Okay, so I'm gonna clear this. I want you to do 4/25 divided by 2/3. 4/25 divided by 2/3. All right, so let's do this one. 4/25 times 3/2. We can reduce here. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. We can't do anything to 3 and 25, so we just need to leave it. 2 times 3 is 6. 25 times 1 is 25. So that's your answer. Can't reduce it because we can't divide 6 and 25 by the same thing. 25 can be divided by 5. All right, so go ahead and get out your science. We're going to, I'll unlock your science or your math classwork when we get done with science. You guys have been doing really good with the math, so I don't think we need to practice anymore with that. When you get your science book out, let's get to page C42. Addie, question?
My mom wanted me to ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
I was having trouble on number 4 on the 1 through 5.
Okay. In the science?
Yeah,
Okay, let me
when
look.
it comes, number 4, I put like something like if it's igneous, it is very hard and does not have layers or fossils. And I put for sedimentary that it has layers
Right.
and may have fossils.
So if you have a rock that is grainy, that means that it is sedimentary because it didn't cool really quickly. So
Yeah.
it's not igneous because it wouldn't have cooled quickly. So it would be, you're right. So it would be
Okay.
sedimentary. All right, guys, so on C42, what we're going to do today is you're going to read this and you're going to work on 1 through 5. A lot of you probably already did it because I opened it last night before I went to sleep. So let's just kind of go over it. You're going to do notes tomorrow. I'm going to let you guys do the fill in the blank ones because it gives you a good classwork grade and it gets you reading while you work on it. So look at page C42, igneous rocks. So this one is the 3 types of rocks, and you should have seen this before, so it shouldn't be something totally new to you. You need to know that a rock is made up of 1 or more minerals. So when we did minerals the other day, and we said the 3 things about a mineral is it was never alive, it was in a repeating pattern, and it was made in nature. When we add those minerals up and you mix those minerals and they get kind of mixed up in nature, that's a rock. Rocks form at or near Earth's surface. They can form in the mantle. How they form is basically how we say what kind of rock they are. So igneous rocks are ones that come from magma. So any kind of rock that comes from a volcano is going to be an igneous rock. When it cools really quickly, you usually have a smoother rock. When it cools less quickly, you have a grainier rock, but it's a fine grained rock. It has really small pieces to it. If you look at examples, the top one is rhyolite. It's made up of the same mineral as granite, but is fine grained. So if you look at it, you can see some of the grains in it, but it kind of still looks pretty smoothish. At the bottom, that is granite. Granite is what people use on countertops and things like that. It's a really hard rock. On the other side, they give you basalt, gabbro, pumice, and obsidian. Obsidian is the really shiny, smooth, black rocks. Pumice is what you would use. You ever heard of pumice stones? People use those to scrub their skin. If you are a girl, you might have a pumice stone that you use to scrub your feet when you're getting like a pedicure or something. That's what that is. You do need to know that pumice gets the tiny holes because it's the volcano gases escaping. So when the volcanic gases are trying to get out, they kind of pop like bubbles, and it makes those little holes into the pumice. It's rough and scratchy. Obsidian is smooth. Granite is when magma cools slowly. Quartz and mica and feldspar make up granite. You're not going to really have to know all these individual things and what makes up each rock. You just need to know how the rocks are formed. Basalt is another one, feldspar, gabbro, pyroxene, all those. All right, so turn it over. So what I want you to know for igneous rock is it's made from when volcanic magma and lava cools. If it cools really quickly, you have a smoother rock. If it cools slowly, it's a little bit grainier. Sedimentary rock, that is when we get rocks that are in layers. And if you look at the one they show you on C44, you can see the layers in it. So this is where you have sediment that's moving down the river. We did that last chapter. We talked about weathering and erosion and deposition. So when the rocks are weathered into small pieces, the wind, flowing water, gravity, or slow moving glaciers move the pieces to other places where they're deposited. So think about the river moving the things down and it settles. More things move down and they settle. And over time, they layer, and you get sedimentary rock. These are going to be ones that are broken more easily, and they sometimes kind of come off in layers when you break them. Sandstone, limestone, conglomerate, shale, all of those are types of sedimentary rocks. When you go near the river or maybe a pond or a stream, that's where you're going to find your sedimentary rocks because it's layers and layers of mud and other minerals and things that get pressed together. Look at cross-bedding real quick on C45. Sandstones are cross-bedded. So what it is the wind blows it over and it settles, and then the wind pattern might shift and it'll settle in a different way. And then the wind pattern might come the other way and it'll settle differently. So over time, it gets kind of crisscrossed. You don't really need to know a whole lot of detail about that. Just know that it's crisscrossed because of the wind blowing. All right, on the other page, metamorphic rocks. These are the ones with heat and pressure. So this is the one you're gonna find deeper into earth and mountains and things like that, because the heat and pressure of being inside the earth is what made these into metamorphic rocks. Let's see. You can kind of see layers with them, especially with the gneiss you see on the bottom of page C46. It is a metamorphic rock from schist, and it's changed into gneiss. So metamorphic rock is a little bit different because it can take other rocks and make them into something else. So if you think of metamorphosis, when we talked about butterflies and things like that, that is what this is too. Metamorphosis is changing. So think metamorphic rock is changing. So what metamorphic rock does is it takes sedimentary and igneous rock and it changes it into metamorphic rock. So heat and pressure with this one. Marble is another one of these. Marble is what people use on countertops as well, or in statues. On the other page, you see slate. Slate is what they use sometimes on roofs of houses because it is thin and it'll split into sheets. Slate can also be used kind of like chalkboards or slate boards sometimes. So these are just the 3 types of rocks. You need to know how they're formed. You might need to know an example or 2, but I'll let you know which ones you need to know. So today you're going to look at page C47, 1 through 5. So let's look at those together. So it says water rocks. Go back to the beginning where it says earth is made of rocks. A rock is blah, blah, blah. You could just do a vocab answer for that. How are rocks classified? So if you go back to the beginning, it'll tell you rocks can be classified into blank. So look for the word classified. 3, in which type of rocks are fossils found? Think about fossils. Are they going to be found in igneous rock where magma is coming through and being really hot? Is it going to be found in sedimentary rock where we have layers? Or is it going to be found in metamorphic rock where there's heat and pressure? We talked about this, I think, with the last chapter. So think about which one is going to be more likely to have fossils. Number 4, you find a rock that is made of small grains. How can you tell whether it's igneous or sedimentary? So with this one, think about how hard it is. Think about, is it going to be easy to break apart? Does it have layers? Things like that. And the last one, which type of rock is granite? Just go through and find granite and you can tell which rock it is. So today you're going to do that. I want you to read through it and answer the questions, and then you're going to do the notes tomorrow. So I'm going to go through and unmute people who have questions real quick, who had their hand raised, and then I'll unmute everybody in a second. Kylie, question?
So next time we have a class like this, my dad has like these rocks with like fossils in them, and I can like bring some of them for y'all to see next time we have a
Right on
class.
Friday.
Okay.
So Friday at 10, we'll have our next meeting. You can show everybody.
Okay.
All right. Addie, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
When I answer number 3, about how they are formed, or the one about how they were formed.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, never mind. About how they were classified.
Right.
I found that answer in the very end, in the summary.
It might be there, yeah. In the beginning to the summary would be another place just because it's trying to give you all the information, but yeah, it can be found there too. Okay. Let me see who else has their hands. Lily, you have a question?
I have like 1 year for my birthday. Bella's dad gave me like a fossil for my birthday. But do you have any idea what it is?
No. Why don't you send me a picture and show me? And we can
Okay.
look at it. I
Okay.
know, like, I guess some of the fossils, like trilobites and stuff, because those are the well-known ones, but I don't know any of those. Send me a picture and we can look at it, and I'll try to see if I can figure it out. All right, let me see if anybody else has their hands up. Braylon, hold on, I'm trying to get to you, but you disappeared on my screen, so hold on. There you go. Braylon, you have a question?
Yeah, did y'all go over anything in math? I accidentally overslept.
Yeah, I recorded it, so I'll put the YouTube link up for you to rewatch it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead right now and unlock your math while you're on here with me, and then I'll tell you what it is so you can go ahead and get started. The math today is going to be page 219, 7 through 14, so about 8 problems. 219, 7 through 14. Remember to flip your fraction on the second one and to reduce. So let me unlock. All right, it's open. If you guys don't have any questions, you can go. If you have any questions, I'm going to unmute you and you guys can ask anything you need to ask.
Later.
All right.
Okay, bye.
You don't need to ask any questions. You guys are free to go.